Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
Having trouble finding staff? Or is your best talent leaving you for better pay and conditions? Well, you're far from alone. But what can be done about a labour market crisis that is gripping small business? From SoundCartel, I'm Peter Letts, and this is Business Essentials Daily. An expert in the recruitment industry, Marnie Jones, says that the labour market has entered a vicious spiralling cycle. But she says clever employers can still stand out from the crowd and attract top staff. Marnie Jones starts by explaining to Jeff Waters why it is that finding employees is so hard right now.
I think it's a lot of different things, and I think it comes down to, at least with experience with my clients, because there's such a demand for employees, employers are forced to adjust the way that they offer value to their candidates, which means that candidates can be more picky. It means that other employers are chiming in there and offering exorbitant amounts for candidates that really aren't worth it, sometimes quite extraordinarily. We had a candidate last week that was worth about 110 grand and he accepted another job for 165. So I feel like it's this vicious cycle between getting low application rates, which means you're forced to either use recruiters or headhunt, which means recruiters are constantly poaching and offering obscene amounts, which means people don't need to apply for jobs as much, which means you have low application rates, and it just goes around and around and around.
What's the answer?
There are multiple things you can do. I know people talk about employer value proposition, but that is a very real thing. We're on the front lines of recruitment every day, and we've isolated some top things that great talent want. Flexibility is a huge thing right now. If you can offer that, I do invite you to do that because you will expand your candidate base drastically. But also, overachieving candidates really do want a future. They want a challenge. They want a company that's going somewhere. They want to do something that means something. So more than ever, those flowery suggestions of, creating an employer value proposition and figuring out your brand, I think are more important than ever.
Just going back to flexibility, could you define what you mean by that?
I think it comes down to work hours, work days that people want to work within, and also working from home options, which we did a job with a client that had 3 recruiters on it and it wasn't moving at all. They said, look, we'll give you a try. The way that we then advertised the ad and we invited them to open it from work from home, they were willing to try it. We went from getting maybe 10 applicants to getting 300, because when you have work from home, if it's 100% work from home, for example, you can then open up into Melbourne, you can open up into Brisbane, open up into Sydney. And so your access of candidates, just basically your net gets cast a lot wider effectively.
Of course, it's a different situation for different industries, and some companies just can't have their workers working from home. What can they do?
I think in that example, you have to really offer something different to other employers. So we have team audits we do with our clients. If we work with anyone, we actually audit their whole team. And one of the questions we ask is, we get the staff members to rate out of 10 what's important to them, out of good pay and flexibility. And is it career progression? Is it respect or the type of work they're doing? A whole bunch of things. And good pay normally sits around a 4 or 5 out of 10. So most of the time, pay is an important factor. But if you can offer, for example, a career progression or some self-development or a culture that they like to work in. So if, for example, you have a team currently, I would highly suggest that you audit that team and you ask them what it is that they like about the role, they like about the company, what made them want to work there, and what would appeal to them, because then you're working with what your staff in your industry want, because every industry is different. If you have a series of trades, it's very different to a professional services company.
So what's the best way to go about one of these audits that you're talking about?
I would, where you can, have a third party or someone who in the company who, that they can be honest with. I would ask them to be very honest. I would have it not anonymous. I'm a very big believer of it not being anonymous, because not only does that create situations that owners can't solve, but it also doesn't invite an open environment. So I would invite it to be open and honest, and I would ask them questions like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you working here? Do you see yourself here in the future? I would ask them if they think there's any toxic personalities here. Do they think the company's organised? Do they feel they have career progression here? And then I would ask questions like, would you want your role changed in any way? How have you been considering? It depends how honest you want to be, and some industries can't be, but I would ask, have you considered leaving? If so, why? What is it that you would want that you don't have in this role or this company? You've just got to be really willing when you're starting a process like this, Jeff, because you can open up conversations that a lot of owners don't want to have. And that's why I think only the most bold owners that are really willing to put some work in should start this process, because you might end up with a bunch of stuff on your plate that you're really not ready to tackle.
In this new environment, as a small business owner, where should I be looking to recruit? Through what outlets?
We have about 20 roles going at any one time, and 98% of them close through Seek. The reason why we don't use LinkedIn and we don't like it, not only do you pay per applicant, which often you get a lot of overseas applicants depending on the role, but also all the recruiters are on LinkedIn. So not only are you getting applicants that you have to pay for, but then you're also trying to tackle a market that is probably being inundated with poaching messages every single day. One of our candidates said that he gets about 50 messages a week from recruiters. So you're in a really poachy area. So what we do with Seek Ads is we write 2 to 3 different ads for the same role, and we post them across different categories. Some roles you can't do that, but where you can, you do that. And you treat the ad like a digital marketing ad. So if you're looking to sell your product online, you've got to have a catchy title that makes them click. That's the first barrier. You've got to get them to click. So if you're wanting an account manager, let's just say, you don't want your title to be account manager when you're looking on that list and you have 50 other account managers. They all look the same. So you play around with the title and add things in there, and you add different angles and hooks that will make them click and open the ad. So that is a very key way that we do that. And we have up to 3 times the applicants that a normal ad has, not only on its own, but then also because we're adding multiple ads, we get more applicants. So that would definitely be a suggestion.
Just finally, is there any other advice you might be able to offer the audience who are having extreme trouble getting staff at the moment?
I would look inside your own business. If you can't answer why someone should work for you over your competitor, then you can't expect candidates to. Unfortunately, we're in a market where you can't be picky and where you have to really show who you are as an employer. So I would suggest really looking internally, how can I improve the experience of working in this business? Would I want to work here if I was a staff member? What can I offer? And I would also solidify any current talent you have that's great and reward that and try to keep that where possible. Because really, if anyone's going to work for you, they have so much choice. They have to see the value of working for your team over someone else.
Marnie Jones, Director of the Talent X Agency. Business Essentials Daily is a SoundCartel podcast. Producers are Nick Schulberger, Chris Ashmore, Jeff Waters and Nicole Goodman. Technical production by Belinda Trimboli. I'm Peter Letts. Thanks for listening. We'll bring you more Be Daily next week.
SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.